Hello and welcome back, readers, to another story time. This week's book is titled The Dragon's Scales, and it's by Sarah Albee and illustrated by John Manders. So we all know what a dragon is, right? So can you find the dragon on the cover? So the dragon's green, and it has the big teeth, and they're often ugly looking, right? And so there's a dragon for our story. And then we see another character. And the character is a what? It seems like a girl, right? So it seems like there's going to be two characters at least in our story, the dragon and this girl. And then the second word in our title is scales. And scales can have two meanings in this case. One, can you see what the dragon is holding? The dragon's holding something in his hand. And there are two plates. The girl is sitting in one plate, and on the other plate looks like there are some berries or some seeds. So that thing that the dragon is holding is called a scale. And we use the scale to weigh things, to check the weight of various items. So when you go to the store and you buy something with mom and dad, if you buy fish or if you buy certain nuts, maybe they weigh it on a scale and then they can show you the weight and the amount that you're getting. That's one meaning of scales, but scales can also be the skin of the dragon. So on the outside part of the dragon's skin are scales. Fish also have scales, and they make their skin more tough. So the dragon has scales on its skin, and on our cover, the dragon is holding a scale in his hand. Why is the dragon holding a scale? I guess we have to read to find out, right? Are you ready to read? All right, here we go. Once there was a small town beside a wide river. The town was called Berrytown. Everyone who lived there was crazy about berries. So crazy can have many meanings, and in this case, crazy means super excited or they really liked them. They really liked berries. So here you can see there's a strawberry air balloon flying in the sky and a blueberry air balloon flying in the sky. Do you like berries? Yeah, there are all kinds of berries. They loved to eat berries. They loved to look at berries. So there we see the people eating various kinds of foods with berries. Berry pie, berry muffin, berry juice. And then they're at the museum and they're just looking at the strawberry on the wall. They even loved to smell berries. In the spring, the people of Berrytown went over the bridge, across the river and to the fields. There they planted all kinds of berries. Strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and even huckleberries. So they planted all kinds of berries. In the summer, when the berries were ripe, so ripe means ready to pick and ready to eat, there was a big parade. Everyone marched through the town on their way to the berry fields. So they planted the berries in what season? In the spring season. And then when would they harvest, or when would they pick the berries? In the summertime. But one year, when the people of Berrytown reached the bridge, something was wrong. That something was very big, very scaly, and very scary. What is it? Can you recognize what it is? I think you know. Yeah, I think it's our dragon. The dragon we saw on the cover. It was a dragon. No one may cross this bridge, the dragon said. The berries are all mine. Seems this dragon wants all the berries. Why does the dragon suddenly want the berries? The dragon wasn't there before. Where did the dragon come from? The townspeople sadly turned away. They wanted the berries, but what could they do? The dragon was bigger and stronger and scarier than any of them. Wait, came a small voice. It was a little girl named Holly. So now we're introduced to the little girl who was on the cover, and her name is Holly. Holly is also the name of a berry, so her name is after a berry. I have an idea, Holly said to the dragon. Let's have a contest. If I win, you have to go away. Okay, said the dragon. But if I win, then everyone has to work in the berry fields for me. So Holly proposed the idea that her and the dragon have a contest, right? And if Holly wins, what happens? The dragon has to go away, or the dragon has to leave. But if the dragon wins, then what happens? Yes, the people have to work in the fields for the dragon. Is that okay? Holly asked. The people of Berrytown nodded, so they tilted their heads back and forth to say yes. It was their only chance. The school teacher stepped forward. I see that you have a set of scales, he said to the dragon. Can you find the set of scales? Yeah, they're sitting on the chest. Looks like there's a chest there. And so there are the scales for weighing something. I will ask 3 questions about weights, said the teacher. Whoever gets 2 out of 3 questions right wins. The dragon scales will decide who is right. Okay, said Holly. So the teacher is going to ask, how many questions? 3 questions, and it's going to be about weights, okay? And how many do they have to get correct to win? 2. So if they get 2 questions correct, then that person wins. Okay, let's see. What questions will the teacher ask? The dragon was not used to this kind of contest. But he knew that whoever is biggest and strongest and scariest always wins. So he nodded. So both agree, right? Holly agrees And the dragon agrees to the teacher's contest suggestion, right? The dragon gave his scales to the teacher. So there are the scales. I wonder what they will weigh. Then the dragon and Holly stood back to back. They took 1, 2, 3 steps. The dragon looks like a crocodile, right? Or an alligator. Which weighs more? Asked the teacher. 1 apple or 2 peas? So the teacher has in one hand an apple and on one finger 2 peas. The dragon snorted. Everyone knows that 2 things weigh more than 1 thing, he said. So 2 peas weigh more than 1 apple. What do you think? What weighs more? 1 apple or 2 peas? Let's see. 2 things don't always weigh more than 1 thing, said Holly. What matters is how heavy the things are. I know that an apple is heavier than 2 peas. So who do you agree with? Do you agree with the dragon or Holly? Do 2 things always have to weigh more than 1 thing? No, right? Let's see who's right, said the teacher. So who is going to be right, Holly or the dragon? The teacher put the apple on one side of the scales. He put the peas on the other. The apple side went down. The peas side went up. The apple weighed more than the peas. So if you said the apple weighed more than the peas, you're correct. The townspeople cheered. The dragon snarled. Holly and the teacher smiled. So there we see the teacher holding the scale, and you can clearly see that the apple is down further than the peas, so the apple is the heaviest thing. So 1 thing can weigh more than 2 things. But dragon is not happy, right? So that is 1 for Holly and 0 for dragon. Next question, said the teacher. Which weighs more? A little bag of gold or a big bag of cotton? So he has a little bag of gold coins, and then he has a big bag of cotton. Now, you've held a coin before, right? And a coin is made of what material? Plastic? Metal? Metal, right? So coins are made of a kind of metal, and they're made of metal because they have to last for a long time. So coins are made of different kinds of metals. Not all coins are made of the same metal, so that can change their weight. But we know coins can be heavy, right? If you have 1 coin, it has some weight, but if you have a handful of coins, it can be pretty heavy, even though it's a small bag, right? But is cotton heavy or is cotton light? Imagine you had the same size bag of cotton as you did coins. What would be heavier? The coins, right? Because the coins are made of metal. But now we have a big bag of cotton. So will it weigh more, less, or equal to the bag of gold coins? Let's see. Big things weigh more than little things, said the dragon. So the big bag of cotton must weigh more than the little bag of gold. Okay, so the dragon thinks that if something is bigger than another thing, then the bigger thing must weigh more than the little thing. Do you agree with the dragon's thinking? Do you agree with the dragon's logic? Is that true? If something is bigger, does it always have to weigh more? Just because one thing is bigger than another doesn't mean it is heavier, said Holly. I know that even a big bag of cotton is lighter than a little bag of gold. So, Holly thinks that what is heavier? What does she think is heavier? So she thinks the bag of gold is heavier than the cotton, right? Even though cotton is in a bigger bag. Who is right this time? Said the teacher. Who do you think will be right? The teacher put the bag of gold on one side of the scales. He put the bag of cotton on the other. The gold side went down. The cotton side went up. The gold weighed more than the cotton. So who is correct? Holly or the dragon? Holly. And if you said the gold weighs more than the cotton, you too are correct. Time for you to pack up, said Holly to the dragon. So that means to leave, to go away. Oh, but look at the dragon. The dragon's sad. The dragon started to cry. Holly felt sorry for the dragon. I'll ask you one more question, she said. If you answer it right, then you can stay. But you have to promise to be nice. So is Holly being nice? Yes, Holly's being nice because she sees the dragon is upset and sad. So she's trying to make a compromise. So she's trying to give it a chance to stay and not have to leave. The dragon sniffled. I really am nice, he said. But no one ever wants to share with a dragon. Which weighs more? Holly asked. A bucket of bricks or a bucket of feathers? The buckets are the same size, said the dragon. Two things that are the same. Think very carefully, said Holly. So we can think about it while the dragon's thinking about it. If you have two things of the same size, so in this case, the buckets are the same size, and you fill them with two different things. One, in this case, one has bricks, and the other one has feathers. Which one is going to weigh more than the other? Or will they weigh the same? What do you think? So even though they're the same size, do they have to weigh the same? Let's see. The dragon took a deep breath. He thought very carefully. Bricks are heavier than feathers, he said. So, even though there is the same amount of bricks and feathers, the bucket of bricks must weigh more. Do you agree with the dragon's thinking? Holly put the bucket of feathers on one side of the scales. She put the bucket of bricks on the other. The brick side went down. The feather side went up. So what does this mean? The bricks are heavier, right? The bricks weighed more than the feathers. Is the dragon correct? Yes, the dragon is correct. So what does that mean? Does the dragon have to leave or can the dragon stay? The dragon can stay. The dragon was right. And that's the story of how Berrytown got its very own watch dragon. So now they have a dragon that can protect them and can watch out for them. And I guess the dragon loves berries too. I hope you enjoyed this week's story, and until next time, bye-bye.